Now I've got the garden all disced up, and last year this is basically the point in which I would have planted. And last year I had some crops did good, some crops did bad. I ended up having a lot of water sitting in this clay soil, and some of the plants did not like being wet all the time. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to make raised rows in the garden so that the plants won't be sitting in water after a rain for a day or two. So because this clay soil it seems to puddle and the water stays there for a day or so, and not real good for the plants. So I'm going to try to use the blade on the tractor. I'm going to try to pitch it, kind of angle it just right, I hope, to be able to go back and forth and create a raised row, like a long mound of dirt for us to be able to plant in. So I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. Now most people, there's actually an attachment that's called a garden bedder, I believe, and it will kind of push the dirt up into a raised row. I don't have one of those. I don't have time to try to fab one up either. So I'm just going to try to use what I got, and I'm going to try to use a blade to do it. So I'm going to start here on the right hand side. We're going to try one row at first. We're going to see if this works. So this is the blade from my Allis-Chalmers tractor. Right now it's got the full extensions on it. It's 8 foot long for when I was working on the driveway. So I'm probably going to have to take the extensions off of it and get this all hooked up to the tractor, and we're going to give this a shot. If you look at this tractor, I've got this blade, I've got it angled about as far as I can, so it's more like a kind of the angle of a plow, and I've got it pitched downward about as far as I can go. And basically this is the best I'm going to get out of this. I can't put an extension on it to dig deeper, or it'll end up it'll be in the tire over there. So when I pitch it at this angle, I have to have the extensions off. The extensions really only work when you're blading straight. That's kind of a downfall of this blade. Well, I went over this with the tractor. I wasn't going too well at first. I pretty much had to drive one set of tires on top of the mound, and I basically had to drive quite a bit wider than I thought I would have had to drive to be able to achieve this garden hill bed here. And it seemed to actually, now that I'm done, it in the middle everything looks pretty good. I've got probably 1.5 feet of height difference from the top to the bottom, and that should be plenty. And then down there on the ends, the problem is the dirt kind of falls off in the shape of the blade. So that side's curving to the east, and then this end over here, it's curving to the west. So right at the end of your rows, you get this nice turn at the end of the row. So it's not all nice and pretty at the ends, but the main part of the row turned out pretty well. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use this row here is going to be for my potato plants. I've got some Kennebec potatoes, and I've got some Yukon Gold potatoes that I'm going to plant this year, and hopefully we'll see how they do in the clay soil. We didn't plant potatoes out here last year, so we'll see. This year will be the first year for potatoes out here. I'll probably go ahead and make another raised bed over here for tomatoes and pepper plants. They really didn't like the clay soil last year. They didn't like all that. The soil stayed so wet last year. Some plants just did not like it at all. Watermelons was another one. Watermelons really didn't like it either. So I'm at least going to put in 1 or 2 more of these raised beds, or these garden beds, and we'll come back later and we'll get all of our plants planted in here. Now the plants that probably won't mind it as bad, I'll go ahead and I'll just plant them like I did last year, just in the flat soil, and see how that does. There we are, 2 more rows made just with the tractor. I didn't rake these at all. Turned out pretty good. So kind of getting the hang of it, learning what width I need to go to be able to mound this dirt up into a hill.